Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Sunday, October 13th, 2019. We're in for quite a week. I think this week will be a lot bigger than last week, so this is going to be really, really interesting. Right now, as you can see, based on just the charts, you got this big... It's kind of a doji. It's kind of not a doji too. You got a lot of selling pressure up at this top because we hit 300 and then we came kind of back down. And so this is really interesting. We're trying to come back to we're gunning for all-time highs, assuming some of these new pieces of news kind of work out for us. So that's what we want to look into now. So let's get into it. So here are some of the things that we want to pay attention to this week. So we have one, the currency deal, and I think that is number one, my priority on this whole list. I can't make this any bigger, so I can't really do anything about that. But yeah, this is definitely my priority here. I do want to know how this plays out completely. The market is going to be spending some time digesting the information regarding this and the trade deal in general. And so, is this good news? Is this bad news? I mean, yes, technically it is, but also, who knows? The market's been kind of acting really ridiculously. Remember, if you remember how when we got the rate cut some time ago, or we actually had some very... What was it? Some bad news had come out. I don't remember exactly what it was regarding. I have to remember that. And what ended up happening was the market came way the hell up, and that was actually contrary to what we were expecting. However, the reason that the market had come up is because it increased the chances of a Fed rate cut. And interestingly enough, the Fed rate cut chance has actually gone down quite a bit because we were at 78%. Now we're 10% less likely. As of right now, we were. This is the target rates for last week. Now the probability has gone down to 67%. So this is all based on the current news. This is what the futures are pricing in. So if you take a look, we can go into the futures right now, and you can see that they are holding up. As expected. They're not. They're not coming way the hell down or anything like that. After this big drop off, we came halfway back, and then we came back a little bit down. So it does seem like the markets are going to be up tomorrow, at least starting that way, but that could change with any type of information that comes out, especially because we're dealing with so much right now. There is a lot to digest and a lot to think about. For example, we are dealing with, whether we like to or not, the Turkish and the Kurdish skirmish thing that's going on right now. And it is more than a skirmish. It's actually kind of a big deal in a political sense. It's not necessarily going to affect our economy directly, but it is going to, I think, affect... There's a political economy at stake. The Turkish are a big manufacturer in many, many ways for a lot of European countries, and that's something that you want to think about when you really, get into this thing. The Turkish are a big player. They create a lot of textiles. They're big on that, and they're also half European in that regard. They are considered, I think, to be part of the EU as of now. They might not be actually, but so this is important, and there is something to think about in terms of why this is happening. And I'm not going to get into the politics of this really right now, because if you do start to think about it, you'll start putting the pieces together. Think about... I'm gonna only play a few things, and I want you to think about who benefits from the situation at hand, pulling out the army men that are stationed there in order to protect the Kurdish. You want to think about those types of things, how that will affect the political economy for the years to come. I don't know, I can't say, but it is important who is benefiting, who is not. There are tactics to what is happening. This doesn't happen for no reason. None of this stuff is as nonsensical as it may seem. So that is something you want to think about, and I'm not gonna say anything else on that. So I'm gonna go ahead and even remove that, because there's no reason to really get further into that. Now, another thing you want to look at is the yuan. The yuan has been coming down actually as of right now, and you can see that right now. So this was the highest it's been. This was in September. This is the highest we've been in October on the 8th, and then we are coming straight down back to the low. So we are pulling back from it. So that's interesting to see, because as this comes down, every time this comes up, we start to do poorly in our economy, because this is how China around the trade deals. So, or the trade war, our tariffs that we've imposed on them, to get around it by changing the rate between the US dollar and the Chinese yuan. So that is really interesting, and it's interesting this coming down. So this is also relevant because it's in terms of how we are going to be reacting to this this currency deal that we're going to be making. So all of this is quite important, I think, for us to focus on. Let's look at some of these other things. So we do want to also take a look at the fact that, and this is a big deal in my opinion, I think that all of this news is all setting up, and now we have a few more things that are, that are unpredictable, and some of these are earnings. So a few banks are reporting this week. Netflix is reporting this week. So Netflix has been moving very strongly in reaction to the fact of their earnings that is coming up. And, they had this big move on, was it Friday? Not Friday, Thursday. And then on Friday, they had this kind of stuck position. So they're reporting, I believe, on Wednesday. And then you got Wells Fargo, JP Morgan. So these are the stuff are reporting, and more to come, obviously. And I'm not going to get into the specific stock because I think I'm going to cover what I do, what I think about throughout the week. So I'm not doing anything with Netflix as of right now. So, yeah, I will leave it at that for now. There are a few, I think, technical setups that I want to look at as well. So one of the things I want to look at is, for example, we have SPY. And SPY, as I've said earlier, sometime a few weeks back, I think, not a few weeks back, but about a week or 2 weeks back, how the market tends to react to this TTM squeeze. I also said that I'm not huge on indicators, but I do like looking at them. I like looking at this one specifically because of the rarity of it. We had this big move up and down, so this was indicating that we were going to start taking off. And then what do? We took off kind of, and then we came kind of back down. And now I believe that it's possible that we could actually see a rally with all regarding the currency deal. I really believe that if the currency deal works out in a way that's favorable to us, at least, I think we're going to see a huge rally in the stock market. We're going to cross all-time highs for a little while. What happens after that is going to be really, really, really interesting, and it's just going to have to deal with all of the economic factors that we have come down far. So production, currency. So I actually talk about that, and I probably will talk about that with Montes here, who explained the way that we play those spreads in order to get maximum potential out of those. So I will probably discuss it with him in a different video coming soon. So in the meantime, take a look at these, that indicator. That's the only indicator that I really want to watch, but you do want to pay attention to the price action. The price action at the end of the day is what decides it. So right here, we have this breakout-ish, and then it comes all the way back down. And now I think might actually be building us back up now. So I believe that these are going to start doing that. Apple is a huge stock right now. It's literally highest it's ever been, which is insane because it was, I think earlier in that week, God, it was like 220. It is insane. These moves have been crazy. And, no one believes it can go this high, but it's been just taking way the hell off. And that's really, really, really cool to see. It's definitely the $1 trillion cap stock again. But yeah, this is the mover. So you want to pay attention, I think, to Apple. Apple's been holding up a lot of the market, I think, at some level. Amazon has not been. Like I said in a different video, that Apple is holding up. Apple is hitting all-time highs, and Amazon's not even close. So Apple is kind of a different. It's kind of a unicorn maybe in this situation. But we do have Microsoft that's also coming up at tops. I do, despite all of these lines, which I'll go ahead and just clear for the sake of one's own clarity. Microsoft, I do actually believe that Microsoft will probably start breaking all-time highs very soon, and it might do it with a straight shot, especially with the new information behind the Surface lineup. Holy shit, I actually have never seen this before, but this thing, okay, so when it comes to these types of indicators, it is really important to pay attention to where it works. It doesn't look like the TTM squeeze works on the stock at all. Because you see this run up. This for sure, yeah, but I don't know. Maybe we'll see. This is massive. This is insane. This actually, Microsoft is a really good place to actually do iron condors on. Probably you sell 133s, 140s. You'll probably end up profitable for those. I will set these up, but I will actually be watching Microsoft for sure, especially with the news of their unveiling, stuff like that. The Surface lineup, stuff like that. So that is what I'm going to look for there. We want to pay attention to the fact that, tomorrow is Columbus Day, so the bond market's closed. I said, we could get a melt up there, but I doubt that anything seriously significant is going to happen. The Turkish lira is something that you also want to watch for in this market, in this economy right now, especially with all the news going on. It is important, in my opinion. So that's something you want to watch. You just want to see what happens as, if the market tanks down, what's going to happen with, what's going to happen with the market. So if the market comes down, what happens to the lira, that kind of stuff. You just want to pay attention. Now, also the Fed programs are going to be kind of unleashing their what do you call it? Their programs in the coming weeks. So their bond buybacks. We did hear on Thursday that they decided on deregulating international small banks. So that's actually very important what that means, and I will discuss that again in a different video. This is just what to focus on for this coming week. So we still have the trade war. Obviously, the market is still digesting all of this information. In this week, I think we're going to see some very, very big moves, and I think it is very possible that they will be very clear. They will not be mixed signal bags or anything like that. I think we might get some pretty strong direction, and I'm really excited to see that happen. I'm really excited to see it happen on Microsoft. I really think it could. So that is something that you want to pay attention to. Like I said, some stocks have earnings. Intel has been taking off also in lieu of the fact that it will not be included in the Microsoft lineup. I think is also very interesting, so that's something you want to look at. I do place some things on fundamentals. There is a freaking gap fill, and it's huge on Intel. There's a lot to be made on that, so I'll go ahead and mark that down. 53, 51, something like that. This is very big. These are levels that you want to pay attention to. So the 52 level, the 53 level on Intel is actually very big. I was anticipating it sometime back. It's coming at it again one more time for the third time. So we'll see how that plays out. And then we have Tesla. Tesla is also back at a key level. This is huge because Tesla has crossed this 250 level quite a few times. And this is a very important place for Tesla. So keep an eye on Tesla, keep an eye on Intel. These are stocks that you want to pay attention to. Now, there is a stock that a friend of mine is actually in, and I had no idea they were in it for a very long time, and it's a very, very shitty stock. It's called MCIG. And the reason I'm bringing it up is because in the last few days, they've been having some serious volume increases. They're way, way above average, first of all. They are taking... It's a based company, for second of all. If you look at it, you'll actually notice something quite interesting about this stock. If my thing will actually load it. If you look at it, it's very similar to Tilray. Extremely similar, actually. Beyond... Let me extend it back. You'll see what I mean in a second. Let's go back 2 years. All right, there you go. This is Tilray, right? Now, if we take a look at MCIG, if you give it a different timestamp, it just trades similarly, and it reacted similarly for some of these things. And that's something I want to watch out to. This maybe happens as a precursor. There is news that you want to pay attention to sometime later in the year. In 2020, I believe that it's possible that Donald Trump will be announcing that it is universally legal to consume marijuana in any state, recreationally or otherwise. So that I don't exactly know the politics of how that kind of stuff gets done, but whatever the case is, if you hear any news about it, then expect this. I am going to absolutely sell his position on this because I think it's ridiculous. Owning penny stocks is a terrible way to just lose all of your money. I mean, he bought it when it was, I don't know, when it cost like 30 cents. It's like 2 years ago. It's not even close. So that's not coming back. It's not. But it is possible to, recoup some of it. I don't know. I don't think there's gonna be that much to claim here, but I'll give it a try. I'll see if I can maximize that. But pay attention to these stocks. Pay attention to the yuan. Like I said earlier, the Fed Rate Monitor tool will tell you about what the ability is, and I think I've covered that already. So yeah, you want to pay attention to these. You're gonna get quite an interesting week this week. I definitely expect to see some very high volume. I think this week, we're getting a lot less uncertainty. We're getting a lot more earnings. So we have those companies that are doing their earnings, the banks, Netflix, like I said. So pay attention to those, and then we'll see how that all plays out. With that information, then you can start actually making real decisions about how you want to say this. But so this is important. Like I said, October is very important. We're getting a lot of volatility, but we might actually start evening that out with a lot more strength in direction. So let's hope that actually works out for us. But like I said, pay attention to the news. These are some of the keys. Pay attention to them. Like I said, the currency deal, I think by far is the most important. Earnings come second. The Fed programs as well. These all coming together. The trade war, how the market starts perceiving the trade war is also extremely important. So make sure you kind of pay attention to what the market sentiment is as of that moment. Are people uncertain? Because when you get uncertainty, you get this shit. You fall, you sell off, that kind of stuff. So pay attention to that, and then we'll figure out what happens from there. All right. Thanks for watching this video. See you guys next time.